Daily Words of God. How great are the obstacles to God's work? Has anyone ever known? With people encaged by deep-seated superstitious colorings, who is capable of knowing God's true face? With this backward cultural knowledge, so shallow and absurd, how could they fully understand the words spoken by God? Even when they are spoken to face, and nourished mouth to mouth, how could they understand? Sometimes it is as if God's words have fallen on deaf ears. People have not the slightest reaction. They wag their heads and understand nothing. How could this not be worrisome? This distant, ancient cultural history and cultural knowledge has nurtured such a worthless group of people. This ancient culture, precious heritage, is a pile of junk. It became an everlasting shame long ago and is not worth mentioning. It has taught people the tricks and techniques of opposing God and the ordered, gentle guidance of the national education has made people even more disobedient to God. Each part of God's work is extremely difficult, and every step of His work upon earth has been distressing to God. How hard His work on earth is. The steps of God's work on earth involve great hardship. For man's weakness, deficiencies, childishness, ignorance, and everything of man, God makes meticulous plans and thoughtful considerations. Man is like a paper tiger that one dare not bait or provoke. At the merest touch he bites back, or else falls down and loses his way, and it is as if, at the slightest loss of concentration, he relapses, or else ignores God, or runs to his pigs and dogs of parents to indulge in the impure things of their bodies. What a great hindrance! At practically every step of His work, God is subjected to temptation, and at almost every step, God risks great danger. His words are sincere and honest, and without malice, yet who is willing to accept them? Who is willing to fully submit? It breaks God's heart. He toils day and night for man. He is beset by anxiety for man's life, and He sympathizes with man's weakness. He has endured many twists and turns in each step of His work. For every word that He speaks, He is ever between a rock and a hard place, and thinks of man's weakness, disobedience, childishness, and vulnerability, around the clock, over and over again. Who has ever known this? Who can He confide in? Who would be able to understand? Ever does He loathe the sins of man and the lack of backbone, the spinelessness of man, and ever does He worry for the vulnerability of man, and contemplate the path that lies ahead of man. Always, as He observes the words and deeds of man, is He filled with mercy and anger, and always does the sight of these things bring pain to His heart. The innocent, after all, have grown numb. Why must God always make things difficult for them? Feeble man is utterly bereft of perseverance. Why should God always have such unabating anger toward him? Weak and powerless man no longer has the slightest vitality. Why should God always chide him for his disobedience? Who can withstand the threats of God in heaven? Man, after all, is fragile and in desperate straits. God has pushed his anger deep into his heart so that man may slowly reflect upon himself. Yet man, who is in grave trouble, has not the slightest appreciation of God's will. Man has been trampled underfoot by the old king of devils, yet he is completely unaware. He always sets himself against God, or else he is neither hot nor cold toward God. God has spoken so many words, yet who has ever taken them seriously? Man does not understand God's words, yet he remains unperturbed and without yearning, and has never truly known the substance of the old devil. People live in Hades, in hell, but believe they live in the palace of the seabed. They are persecuted by the great red dragon, yet think themselves to be favored by the country. They are ridiculed by the devil, yet think they enjoy the superlative artistry of the flesh. What a bunch of dirty, lowly wretches they are. Man has met with misfortune, but he does not know it, and in this dark society he suffers mishap after mishap, yet never has he woken up to this. When will he rid himself of his self-kindness and slavish disposition? Why is he so uncaring of God's heart? Does he quietly condone this oppression and hardship? Does he not wish for the day when he can change darkness into light? Does he not wish to once more remedy the injustices toward righteousness and truth? Is he willing to watch and do nothing as people forsake the truth and twist the facts? Is he happy to keep enduring this maltreatment? Is he willing to be a slave? Is he willing to perish at the hands of God together with the slaves of this failed state? Where is your resolve? Where is your ambition? Where is your dignity? Where is your integrity? Where is your freedom? Are you willing to lay down your entire life for the great red dragon, the king of devils? Are you happy to let it torture you to death? The face of the deep is chaotic and dark, while the common folk, suffering such affliction, cry to heaven and complain to earth. When will man be able to hold his head up high? Man is scrawny and emaciated. How could he contend with this cruel and tyrannical devil? Why does he not give his life to God as soon as he can? Why does he still waver? When can he finish God's work? Thus, aimlessly bullied and oppressed, his whole life will ultimately have been spent in vain. Why is he in such a hurry to arrive and such a rush to depart? Why does he not keep something precious to give to God? Has he forgotten the millennia of hate